Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all here. We will get going. I think we're expecting one or two other people, but they should be joining us momentarily. My name is Zafar Adil. I'm the director of the School of Sustainable Energy Engineering at Simon Fraser University. My collaborator and partner in this exercise is Dr. Ed Reyes. He's the associate professor of Community and Environmental Resource Planning at the University of the Philippines. So we're really pleased that you are here with us. We look forward to some exciting discussions, some really interesting presentations, and hopefully there would be a lot of interesting information left with you by the time we're done with today's module and with module 4B. So let me start by uh, giving some overview of what we are doing today, and then I'll ask Dr. Christina Schoenleber to give some opening remarks. So to give you a quick overview of Module 4, and I had mentioned some of this at the end of Module 3, if you will remember, Module 4A is about building institutional resilience. So we will talk about resilience theory and practice and how community resilience assessment is done. We have some interesting tools that we will share with you and how to do that. And then we'll talk about institutional and community resilience. In Module 4B on 22nd of July, we will start talking about how to build environmental resilience and particularly talk about climate change and urban infrastructure resilience and discuss how nature-based solutions fit into this larger context of adaptation to climate change. And of course, a lot of interest is how local actions can help build resilience. So to just dig a little bit deeper into today's module, oops, the learning objectives we have that we want to explain why urban resilience is a prevailing and important goal for your city, and also to identify the assets within the community and how to how you should be able to provide operational definition for urban resilience for your own city. And you should also be able to challenge the status quo that you find in your community and your city in practice and discuss opportunity for how really transformative resilience can take place and how that can fit within the context of sustainability. So those are the broad objectives. We're hoping that you'd be able to get to each of those objectives by the end of today's session. Do we want to take a pause here for our group photo?
Yeah. Apologies, my camera is not working, but my photo is there also already.
Right.
Please, in the count of three, please turn your camera. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Right. So the overview is that after this opening remarks, after these introductory remarks, I'll hand over to Dr. Christina Schoenleber. We will follow that up with an interactive workshop. And Dr. Ed Reyes will explain how we will undertake this interactive exercise. After the initial introduction, you will be asked to go into two breakout rooms where you will be guided through this exercise. It's a time-limited exercise, and then we will gather back in the plenary and discuss what you experienced. We have a great privilege today to have a lecture from Dr. Ching-Wen Chang. She's the director and professor of Stuckerman School at the Pennsylvania State University. And after that, we'll have a short break. After the break, we have one more speaker, Ms. Jessica Versilla from the Philippines, and she will talk about building institutional resilience. And after we are done with that, we will spend some time talking about the 4 questions I had posed to each of you last time when we were in Module 3B. So that will be the basis of our discussion. And what we hope is that you have brought some examples from your city that we can discuss in some detail. We'll close off by introducing Module 4B. So that's the plan for today. Any quick questions before we move on? Okay, I don't see any hands going up immediately. So Christina, let me welcome you and ask you to, oh, sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry because good morning, everyone. I would like to ask for an apologize for this inconvenience. I will leave the class for a moment because I have to attend and lead the meeting with the city parliament member right now. And Mr. Rida, as my assistant, will replace me. I will participate again after the meeting finish, inshallah. Is it okay? Is it possible for me?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're most welcome. All right, I pass the floor to you, Christina.
Thank you very much, Adil. Well, welcome all honorable mayors, partners, faculty and experts to this module 4A, which will, as you just heard from Adil, focus on key aspects of resilience and how to strengthen urban resilience while building directly also on the learnings from the previous 3 modules. So climate change is, as we all know, a multidimensional threat that cities all over the world, and specifically cities in the Asia-Pacific region, are suffering from. A large proportion of disasters that occur in our region and are affecting our cities cause more economic damage than in most other areas of the world. And in order to build resilient cities, you as urban leaders have to understand how climate change impacts and exacerbates urban risks from droughts, floods, storms, as well as heat waves, which are expected to intensify even more in future and which are already causing great damage and problems to our cities. But these are risks that many of your cities are impacted and that need to be considered in addition to the region's specific disaster threats of earthquakes and tsunamis. And these are, as we all know, and are already experienced and are also expecting to increase both in frequency and strength. All of these disasters will impact urban communities, your communities, and their most vulnerable groups in different ways and intensity. And with the impact of climate change increasing and getting worse, cities will need to become more creative in pushing local adaptation initiatives and also becoming more focused on climate resilient action and relevant adaptive pathways. And important components to support this will be collaborative partnerships at local levels to inform and accelerate climate action in cities. And Adil just mentioned you will also hear about this in 4B, which is great. Multi-stakeholder and cross-sector collaborations that bring together civil society, academia, the private sector, and community-based organizations with local governments are really, really essential to achieve this transformation that is required to become resilient. And this way, cities can harness a broader range of knowledge, resources, and innovative solutions. So this Asia-Pacific Mayors Academy in itself plays a vital role in fostering such collaborations by convening you in a network of visionary city leaders who are committed to championing sustainable urban development across the region. Through shared learning, peer exchange, and joint action, you will not only strengthen your own city resilience, but also contribute to a collective regional momentum driving forward integrated, inclusive, and climate-smart urban solutions that will benefit all. And it's been one of these collective action has been one of those really founding ideas for our Asia-Pacific Mayors Academy. Now, with these thoughts for the beginning of Module 4A and 4B, I will now leave you in the most capable hands of my colleagues Adil, Safar, Edgar Reyes, Chingwen Chen, Ephraim Roxas, and Jessica Brasilla, who are guiding, contributing to those sessions. And I really hope that you will gain a lot of new insights and will take these and move forward to build on this for the next modules coming after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina. Those are important words because you help set the context for why we are doing this and what we hope to get out of this exercise. I think that's inspirational for us to think about where this will eventually lead. So thank you very much again. Now we move to the next part, which is the interactive workshop. So I give you the floor, Ed and Ephraim, and please let me know. I'm gonna keep forwarding the slides at your signal.
Okay, I hope I'm audible. Again, welcome to Module 4A. And I am joined by Dr. Ephraim Rojas, faculty member at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. And we will be facilitating or sharing an interactive workshop for us to have a good introduction of what we're going to learn for Module 4A. So I hope all our mayors and their representatives are here already. Can I see a raise of hands so that we know how many are you? One, two, three. Okay. So I think we have quite a number already. And our volunteers coming from UN Habitat will also be joining us as moderators and at the same time as facilitators for this entire game. So let me just proceed with what we're going to happen with our interactive game. So next slide, please. Thank you. Okay. So again, this will be facilitated by Dr. Rojas, me. You can call me Ed. You can call Dr. Rojas F. And then Tam and his group as well from the UN Habitat will be helping us out. Okay. Next slide, please. So the name of the game is Stop Disasters. So it is an online game crafted by the UNDRR. And essentially, this simulates or provides information on how we can stop the disasters or at least manage it. And for the general instructions, we will be dividing the group. So originally, there are 4 groups, but since we have quite a number, we'll be dividing into 2 with 3 to 4 member each. And will be facilitated by us. And then the goal of the game is at the end, you'll be able to design a community that will be able to stop disasters to occur. So there are a lot of decision points that you'll need to do during the game, and that would be the creative part of the group of mayors that will be assigned to their respective groups. So you should be able to discuss and create decisions that will be critical in the final design of your community that will somehow stop the disasters to occur. So each group will be needing to communicate to their moderator because the moderators will be the ones who has access to the actual game. So they will be the one to do the manipulation in the online game. So you should be able to communicate to them immediately or as soon as possible what are your decisions pertinent to the game. So at the end of the game, the moderators will provide the result of the scenario and draw lessons from this. So hopefully we'll be able to finish the game in time, and then we'll be processing what happens during the game and what could be possibly done in terms of the decisions that we make as our mayors. Are you excited? So maybe we can continue. So this is how it should look like. So we'll be navigating it later on, but we'll be providing you several types of hazards. So this will be a surprise for the 2 group in terms of the type of hazard that you will be trying to manage eventually. So next slide also. Next slide, we'll be looking into the different type of decision making that you'll be needing in terms of the type or the magnitude of the disaster that will happen. So this will again be decided by our moderator. So again, our mayors will be the ones who will be the main participants, but much of the decisions will be made by our moderators. Next slide, please. And then during the game, you will be provided or prompted by a predetermined decision-making actions. So that means you have to stick to your goal, and then eventually, through that goal, you'll be able to decide which one to prioritize and not. Next slide, please. So here you'll be provided as well some information regarding the type of risks that your community is exposed to. So you may be able to use this information, but during the middle of the game. So our moderator have the full control of this one. Next slide, please. And then there are updates in the implications of your actions. So your actions are actually guided by information. Our volunteers coming from UN Habitat and UN ESCAP and us can at the same time provide you more robust information on this so that we will be saving time in terms of the information related to your decisions. Next slide, please. And then at last, after the running of the hazard that will be striking your community, there would be a result towards this. Again, at the end of the day, the goal of the team is to have the least casualties, for example, in terms of the disaster that is preempting the area. So hopefully this would be a really engaging one. There are no right and wrong answers. The more important thing is for all our mayor participants to communicate with each other and provide a concrete decision with the element of time. Because in facing any hazard, time is a very critical point that we need to put into consideration. So with that, so I think we're ready. Yeah, and then we will be able to further discuss with some of the key questions, which will be later on flashing on screen as well. So if we have time, we can somehow do this per group, or we can summarize this in plenary later on. So are there questions from our mayor participants so far? No? Then we can go to our respective breakout rooms, and then we can assign you with the next proceeds of the game. So I hope you enjoy this and be this an interactive and facilitative game as much as possible. Okay.
Great, Edgar, just coming in that we will now open the breakout room discussion. So each of the mayors and Ed and F will be assigned to the room. For the other partners, please do feel free to join the two breakout rooms, but it should be opened right now. For the mayors, you will be automatically assigned. And for the partners, I know you and Habitat are co-hosting, co-facilitating. If you can please also split between yourself. Between room 1 is Ed and room 2 is Ephraim. And you should be able to join by yourself. Once again, just making announcement for UN Habitat colleagues. You should be able to choose a meeting room, but maybe Kanda, you can assign UN Habitat colleague as co-host so that they can choose their own room. Yeah, great. So we are breaking into 2 breakout room discussion, but feel free to join. Mayor Ran Bahadur, if you can hear us, you are assigned to one of the breakout rooms already. Breakout room 1, I believe. If you can accept the invite. That the mayor is not joined. Mayor Ran Bahadur, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Okay, great. You are already assigned to join room 1. Everyone is right now in the breakout discussion, going through a simulation. If you can accept the invitation, it will automatically move you there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And do let us know if you have problem to join the breakout room. Mayor Alfredo, are you having difficulty
Yeah, I
joining the
didn't.
break?
Yeah, I didn't receive any the invitations.
Oh, okay. We will try to assign you again.
Okay.
Okay.
Sang.
You
Yeah,
should
yeah,
receive an
yeah.
invitation now. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Hello? Can you put me back to the breakout room?
Yes, we will put you back to the breakout room.
My
Short.
internet's quite slow and it's
Oh,
hanging.
it keeps kicking you out, it seems.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, let us put you back into the.
I think I have to turn off the video.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you should receive the invitation now. Professor Adil, the next speaker has not joined yet.
Yeah, I just sent you a message that we should continue the discussion with the mayors, kind of a debriefing.
Okay.
I think breakout room 1 was already doing it, and breakout room 2 had just started it. So I think we need to first ask them to share some general description, and then we wrap up to the break.
Sounds great.
Welcome back, honorable mayors, participants. We don't yet have our next speaker, so my suggestion is that we ask the moderator from both breakout rooms to give a brief description of what was done in their respective breakout room, and continue with a discussion about the general, general findings, and maybe some ideas that can be shared between the two groups. So Ed, do you want to lead the first working group?
Yes. Will it be possible to share the questions? Maybe we can look into those questions, and then the sharing could flow from there. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
so I'm sharing the questions now.
Okay, so our group was joined by our two dear mayors from Indonesia and Cambodia. Thank you very much for the very active participation. We've chosen, well, I actually chose Tsunami, no? And in terms of resources, it's the medium number of resources available in the area. And the immediate result of the game, no? It was a success. No? So congratulations to our two mayors, no, for carefully putting a really good design for their community. And although there are around 58 casualties, no, from the tsunami, still, no, the verdict, no, for the actual game was a success. No? So what were the main considerations, no, as decision parameter by the two mayors? No? So there were two things, no, or there are a lot of things that they had to consider, but one very important or critical thing in terms of putting all these resources, especially the hospital and the school, is in terms of accessibility. So that's one thing that they put into context. Are these facilities accessible to the communities? Second is putting up for the basic needs. So there are unhoused populations, so they prioritize providing this basic needs, such as housing that is accessible, housing that is safe and secured, especially in terms of risk. Another consideration that they had to look into are the risk information. So very important in terms of their decision making is the basic information of what type of risks are there in their community that influence their decision whether to build structures, whether to upgrade these particular structures, and put some other protections for this structures, and at the same time the people living in the area be on the safe and sustainable side of the story. So in terms of the third question, what were the easy parts of the game and what were the challenging points? Our dear mayors provided the information in terms of putting these resources, and planning for it is a bit easy for them, no? Since our dear mayor from Indonesia is very much familiar into tsunami. So it's easy, a lot easy for him to do that, no, the planning aspect. No? But the harder part, no, is to think through it, and if that will really be that easy in reality, especially what our dear mayor from Cambodia highlighted is in terms of the financing of things. So it's easy to plan, it's easy to think of technologies that will be there to help out in terms of disaster, but the more challenging part is financing. How do we enable financing and implementing this in reality to ensure the safety and security of our population. And then general reflection. So there are a lot of things to do still. Infrastructure is one thing, no, but at the heart of disaster risk reduction and management are the people. And we mean people, population, community with varying decisions, with varying emotions, with varying priorities. And if we do not have one common goal, if we do not have one common understanding of what we want for our community to have, then there would be a lot of issues or concern that might be providing more complexity in terms of decision making. So it's just a summary version. I know there's still a lot of things that were mentioned in our group. Maybe our dear mayors can still substantiate that or put more context to it. If we have time later on, maybe we can put the other group first, and then we can still share some more information on this later on. Thank you very much, Dr. Adil.
Thanks, Ed. That was very informative. F, do you want to take on a similar overview, maybe even invite some of the mayors to share their perspectives?
Thank you, Dr. Adil. So we are group 2. Our decision makers are the mayor from the Philippines and the mayor from Malaysia. And our first disaster is that I was logged out of the internet. So Husna needed to catch and do the clicking, right? But incidentally, we also chose the tsunami hazard, maybe because we are Southeast Asian countries. And the immediate results of the game, is actually a success. We have less casualty than Group 1. I think only 26 or 20 something casualties involved. So our main considerations in decision making is to provide the developmental goal of the scenario. So we first prioritize building houses for the unhoused. And one consideration that we did here is to already recognize building houses on the higher level of the island. We also built our hospitals and hotels relatively on the higher portion of the island, not really within the coast. We also built a lot of hazard protection. So our group loved trees. So we built trees around the bamboo houses and the lower houses that are at high risk, at higher risk. And then towards the end of the game, when we still have lots of sort of resources to use, we also explored building coastal protections, and protection by the coast. In terms of the general reflections, I think we have several general reflections from our mayor. One is the idea of economic development, as a way to build resilience, or to avoid risk. So we viewed the location and the building of hotels as a economic priority, but also reflected on that, and its importance in idea of recovery, because we recognize that the robust economic system is also important for recovery. The other questions that was raised and reflections that was pointed out is the idea of what do we take in as a success, right? So the game pointed out that we are successful in doing the simulation. But some of us question, is the 26 casualty qualified as a success? Or is it still too high in terms of cost of disaster? So we talked a little bit about learning, from the game, and how it can steer us to ask questions that are important, for making decisions as mayor or as decision makers. We also talk about the game environment, as a low, in terms of being low cost, or low consequences, in terms of trying out and experimenting decisions. That's the idea of the game environment. We can try things, we can experiment, and we can learn from it, without actual cost, in real life, because we recognize that as mayors, all of our decisions have actual consequences. So the game allowed us to also try some things out, but also learn. And I think those are the main ideas that was discussed. I open the floor to Tam, and other members of the group to add on.
Hi, thanks, F. Yeah, great. I think some of the other considerations that the mayors kindly made were ensuring that all the premises were retrofitted and upgraded. Honorable Mayor Coro of Philippines also highlighted the need to ensure the support for economic activity in the post-discovery recovery phase as well. And Honorable Mayor of Hulu Selangor was highlighting concerns, for instance, to make sure that the houses that might be displaced and the households that might be displaced had other places of residence, particularly those that are of higher ground, that they could seek refuge in case of the tsunami as well. So colleagues from ESCAP were also highlighting the need to build breakwaters, and we were quite aggressively ensuring that we built trees and mangroves all along the coastal line to ensure that the areas around there were protected as well. So just highlighting some of the key considerations as well that Honorable Mayors kindly contributed as well. Thanks, F. Back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think those were some really interesting insights. We are due for a much-deserved break. But before we do, would any of the mayors like to share their experience of how they felt this game was structured and whether it was instructive or not? Yes, Mayor Salahuddin.
Okay, from Banda Aceh, would like to add something. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah, as reflection that Mr. Edgar already explained, our group is very actively participate in the discussion that I would like to add something that one of very important thing also with the tsunami early warning system, or we call the TUS or the IT. Technology need also to be implemented in the city for to make a safe city using the early warning system. Should be put like in here in Banda Aceh City. We put on the special level in the sea to see the situation of the wave, and also with the horn we like receive some of the hazard that will occur. So I think that's also very important for the people warning, because the city, we have the beautiful of the sea, beautiful of the beach. The people will go there, so it's very important to have the early warning system for them, and also the escape route, because when we have already warning them, so where they should go. So also very important to reduce the casualty or the victim of the disaster. And also the important thing also, based on our experience in Banda Aceh City, is the history of the disaster with the evidence. What is, I mean, we have the Museum of Tsunami in Banda Aceh City. One of the museum in in Indonesia also, we have it, because to tell to our next generation that don't play with the disaster. Disaster will come very big and very huge. So maybe 100 years later, our people, citizens, cannot imagine how is the tsunami happen. But that's why we need to put something, the evidence for the next 100 years, that we have to be a public awareness. We have to understand the situation, the disaster. So we have to be awareness of the disaster. This maybe in add something from the city Banda Aceh. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Those are all really very, very valuable insights. So, if I can recap in a couple of words, the idea of future proofing, so that you're not just addressing the problems now, but you're thinking ahead. You're providing information about where people can go in case an emergency or a tsunami hit, and also having information be shared and disseminated to the population, I think is a very important aspect of all of this. So thank you very much for those insights. I think, as I said, we are due for a very well-deserved break. So let's take a 10-minute break, and then we will reconvene and continue with this module. So thank you very much for your engagement so far. Break. They will be joining us back in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, how are
Is
you,
there
Mayor?
time? Is there any problem in the internet or somewhere not listening properly, and sometimes sound is not coming, and more than 45 minutes I missed the lecture.
Oh, sorry to hear about that. Generally, I think the communication is working well. Now we are taking a break, which we will conclude in about a minute, and then we will start with the next presentation. So
Okay.
the meeting is recorded. The colleagues from ESCAP will be able to share with you the recording afterwards, so you can listen to the whole thing after this module is completed.
Okay, thank you very much. But I couldn't, participate in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
The communication is now working well for you?
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us back after the break. We will be now continuing with the next part of our agenda. Our speaker is Ms. Jessica Dator Bercia. She's the Science Resilience Fellow at the National Resilience Council in the Philippines. Before taking on this role, she has served in the University of Philippines as a member of faculty working on development and policy studies for over a decade. And she has been also been a part of the global climate change advocacy team of ACT Alliance. And she has also worked at the Ateneo School of Government and Manila Observatory to develop approaches in strengthening science policy practice nexus focused on risk governance. So we're very pleased to have you with us. I give you the floor. You can share your screen and your slides.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you can switch to presentation mode.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. This is great. Thank you.
So thank you very much for having me in this learning process. And the task given to me is really sharing about institutionalizing resilience. Much of what I am going to share is born out of our experience of really getting resilience on the ground, not only in the Philippines, but having worked in the regional and global platform, also in other countries that we've learned from. So the presentation will actually cover a couple of elements. One is the challenge of operationalizing resilience, and then looking really into the wisdom of having resilience policy. So many of you have are holding executive positions, level positions, but and many of you understand that policies matter in terms of driving direction for work, and it's the same also for resilience. So definitions and parameters matter a lot. Then we need to have that mandate, for really securing resilience in our work, and then making sure that resilience becomes part of the governance system of your own local government units or national government. To begin with, we need to level off on the understanding of resilience. So a lot of people talk about resilience, no? But what is it really? Some say, if you can see the images to the right, it acts as a shield, to protect you, from different kinds of hazard. Some look at it in the context of sustainability, but some would also look at resilience in the context of well-being. And in this case, putting them all together, it's ensuring that you are able to survive, absorb the shocks, and make sure that you are able to thrive. I think this was the core. These are part of the core concepts that were introduced to you this morning. But learning really about resilience is not as simple as it is, because we're dealing with very complex issues. And learning, for example, from programmers globally, we are taught that we need to break down these things into the complex issues into smaller, manageable parts, and then approaching those parts systematically. And this is what we're going to do this afternoon. Now, so essentially, when you are looking at resilience, we look at the more prevailing, that inspire works of resilience in many countries. One is, of course, from the UNDRR, which talks about resilience as the capacity to resist, absorb, accommodate, adapt to, transform, and recover from the effects of a hazard. Now this definition was developed sometime in 2007, if I am not mistaken. But sometime in 2011 and published in 2012, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change gave attention to the extreme weather events that have been affecting the different countries around the world. And so we're now looking at the definition of resilience as the capacity or the ability of the system to anticipate, absorb, accommodate, or recover from the effects of a hazardous event in a timely and efficient manner. Furthermore, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change also looked at these capacities as being part of the social, economic, and environmental systems. In the context, for example, of the Philippines, we initially relied, on or adopted the UNDRR definition, so our policy defines resilience as such, from the disaster risk reduction and management law that we have. But moving forward, we saw the need to anticipate, and right now we have a big issue globally, and in the news, you must have heard about what happened to Texas in the United States. And we now see the value and the importance of developing those anticipatory capacities. So we need to incorporate such elements in our policies. Now, if you go, sometime earlier in 2019, and before that, there were a group of scientists who wanted to fully understand what resilience is, and they did a meta-analysis, meaning they scoured literature all over the world to really have a deeper understanding of what resilience is. And this is what they discovered. So let me just enlarge this for all of us. So we begin with first the need to understand. And this is part of the capacity that we need to develop. We need to understand our risks. And that is what the Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction is saying, as well as the Paris Agreement. We really need to understand the risks that we're facing, the hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. But we also need to understand how these risks are related to our capacities. And resilience is really about having these capacities, the capacities to prevent the risk from occurring. If the risks are already there, the capacity to anticipate those risks. If you are unable to anticipate those risks, certainly you will suffer disaster. And when you suffer disasters, which is a state of losses and damages, assuming that you survive the impacts, you will need to have the capacity to absorb the shock. So the definition that says resilience is absorbing the shock is only one part or element of the resilience continuum. And moving forward, if you have survived, and absorbed the shocks, but you assume that this will happen again in the future. For instance, in Nepal, you've been facing GLOF, glacial flooding. And if you think that this is going to happen in the future because of climate change, we are advised to make sure that we learn to adapt, meaning prepare for the future impacts, or the impacts rather, prepare for the impacts of the future hazards, which scientists are saying will be more powerful, no? But the preferred modality, no, or the standard of resilience that we need to achieve is that state of transformation, whereby, according to the scientific communities, we not only recognize the hazards or the exposures that we have to the hazards, but make sure that we are able to transform, meaning we are able to address the root causes of our hazards, exposures, and vulnerability. And having said that, we need, if we are transformed, we cannot go back to the state of where we were, no, the state that caused our vulnerabilities and our exposures. Rather, if we are really transformed, we need to bounce forward and be better than what we were before. No? So this is the concept of resilience that we are looking at right now. No? And since we are from Asia, I thought that the closest analogy that I would have for this is that of the lotus. No? So many of us have lotuses, you know, in our country, if not all of us, and you've seen how lotuses grow. They're very resilient. They grow beautifully out of the murky waters, and then they thrive. No, and so I opted to use the lotus as a way of explaining, of putting in an Asian perspective on this, on the concepts of resilience. No, so whether you're talking about people, infrastructure, environment, no, or the ecosystem that we have, we need to appreciate the way of the lotus and then use it in our daily lives. No? So where does the lotus fit in this whole theory, no? By Manieta et al. No? When you are able to already increase capacities, your capacities, preventive, anticipatory, absorptive, adaptive, and transformative capacities. So let me increase this a bit. And you're looking at developing these capacities in various dimensions: social, human, economic, infrastructure, environment, and institutions. You are actually growing like a lotus, no? But see, lotuses also have stage school of thought, you know, that looks at, for example, I am informed that my internet is not stable. Can you still hear me?
Yes, your sound is actually coming through well.
Okay, thank you
Yes,
thank you
yeah.
very much. Thank you very much. Now, so we all know that there are schools of thought that say, you know, there are many lotuses, but the pink lotus, you know, is desired for, and bouncing forward, being able to bounce forward, being able to be better than what we were before is the state that we want to be in, no? And that's why resilience is akin to how lotuses grow. Now, from resilience theory to practice, now do we have resilience now in our laws and policies? That is the first thing that we should ask if we want to institutionalize resilience. Do we already have it in our laws and policies? Are they mentioned? So I did a scan, you know, of the policies in your countries. I hope I got them all. Now you have Cambodia, Nepal, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. And within the policies that are written here and that you're shown, resilience is mentioned, or assumed as a part of the process for addressing disaster risk in the form of disaster risk reduction and management and climate change action. No? So these are only some of the policies. Now, so I also went into studying, you know, the different governance systems in your country, and there are different examples, by which we are able to institutionalize resilience. So in the case of Cambodia, they did it in the project level mode, with donor agencies and with those who support the work in Cambodia. So again, if I may increase this, so this is one of the programs that were supported by a donor agency or a financial institution, national level mainstreaming, subnational mainstreaming, strengthening of civil society and the private sector, and science-based adaptation planning, and then outreach. So this was the earlier modality, in the case of Cambodia. Now, how about in Malaysia? In Malaysia, although there's already a policy, that states that they're moving into a pathway of resilience, mainstreaming resilience in the planning and budgeting processes of Malaysia is still aspirational, on their mode, but they're already doing a lot. It's about pulling it all together and then making sure that it is institutionalized, within the governance system and not only as part of a project. And so this is what you see before you is actually a part of a study and a recommendation on how Malaysia can move forward, in terms of mainstreaming resilience in the local government land use planning of Malaysia. In the case of Indonesia, there have been many attempts. They have many policies actually that support resilience work. But many of these are implemented by line agencies, rather than embedded from the national to the local level. So you have, for example, you see that it's part of the National Action on Climate Change Adaptation. It's implemented by BAPENAS, including inclusion of adaptation in national development planning policies. And you can see way down, you can also see it becomes part of the national registry system and the community village program by the Ministry of Environment, and as well as for the Ministry of Finance, you have budget tagging, of this resilience measures attached to risk reduction and climate change action. So this is also part right now, of the disaster management and in local and national planning system. And this is a pathway that has been already articulated in their long-term vision, medium-term vision, the strategic plan, the NAP, and the annual plan. You see that this is already an impact or already an output, rather, of the earlier guideline to ensure that this becomes the inclusion of adaptation into the national development planning of Indonesia. Now, in the case of Nepal, one of the more advanced actually in terms of resilience mainstreaming, and many use this in the studies on resilience, is the case of Nepal, because Nepal has mainstreamed resilience action emanating out of climate change concerns and risk reduction into their national programs, their state and provincial sectoral plans, the local adaptation plans of action, LAPA. This is the most, I think, comprehensively studied mechanism in Nepal. And you have the community action plan of actions. And now they're moving towards village or hamlet level adaptation plan or actions. So that's how far they go. Similarly, in the case of the Philippines, this slide will tell you, no, and I'd like to enlarge this a bit, no, that in the case of the Philippines, we try to identify international frameworks on development, climate change adaptation, and disaster risk reduction, and making sure that they become part of the national frameworks, but also ensure that they are part of the national accompanying national plans, the local plans, no, and the local plans. Now, for each of these stages, no, where there are policies, resilience targets are embedded in the national plans and in the local plans, no. The whole aim of all of these attempts for coherence is to make sure that we are able to achieve sustainable development, and make sure that we are able to mainstream climate change and climate and disaster resilience, no, in the plans, programs, activities, and budgets of the Philippine government. Now, my last few slides will show you very specific cases. So, again, for the case of the Philippines, there is what you call the rationalized planning system, which is akin to the model of Nepal and other countries. But in this rationalized planning system, we are asked to ensure that resilience is mainstreamed in the comprehensive land use plan, in the comprehensive development plan, in the derivative plans, and other term-based plans, including investment programming and budgeting. So that's one case. No? Now, since we're talking about cities, let me give you an example from the city of Baguio. For those of you who have visited the Philippines, Baguio City is an upland city. It's bursting to its seams. But the local government, want to make sure that it becomes resilient and it is still able to sustainably develop. So it anchored its plans of action in the sustainable development goals, which factors in resilience as a pathway. But as expressed earlier, they had to make sure that their targets are embedded in the different city development sectors of environment, social, economic, infrastructure, and institutional mechanisms. And here you can find the different investment themes that they have, from biodiversity conservation, green spaces, renewable energy, participation, mobility, and all of these they consider as major contributors to resilience building. Now, another example that I wish to show you is the case of Iloilo City. Iloilo City is a coastal city, and together with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Department of Interior and Local Government, they became part of the Project Transform. Mayor Coro is here. Their province is also a part of the transdisciplinary approach for resilience and sustainability through multi-stakeholder engagement. But the difference is that in the case of Project Transform, it makes sure that there's an alignment between international frameworks, national policies, and down to the local government priorities. And explicitly, they give emphasis on resilience pillars like leadership and governance, local economy, human development, infrastructure, and environmental resilience. And the different stakeholders take part, in crafting, the programs, plans, and actions that will guarantee sustainability and resilience in the coastal city. So, for example, you see here the green, blue, gray interventions that are highlighted in the in the city of Iloilo, as well as environmentally and gender and socially inclusive approaches, no, to accessing basic resources. Okay. And I think this is my final slide, no? Just some considerations, particularly for cities, no, who are now facing the challenges of climate and disaster risks. The scientific community, sorry, the scientific community already says, no, and this is from the IPCC AR6 report, no, that we have major climate impact drivers that are compounded, no, that interact with hydrological, meteorological, geophysical, environmental, biological, technological, and social hazards. They do not come one at a time, no. They actually now come in pairs or as groups, no. And the our problem is they will come in terms, with larger magnitude, increasing frequency, new location. They will come at different timing, and sometimes you can no longer predict our seasons, and they will come with new combinations, no? They will expose, no, our populations, assets, and ecosystems, no? And at the same time, they will point out to us, no, the multiple vulnerabilities of our ecosystems, assets, and populations. But what we should not forget, and we should not always forget, particularly in cities, that our risks, no, can be addressed, no, by making sure that we are able to secure the role of ecosystems services that regulate services for mitigating hazard and exposure, like the role of mangroves for coastal cities, making sure that we are able to ensure that our communities are able to retain cultural practices that will enable them to thrive, like being able to care for nature and ensuring sustainability of medicinal assets from nature, and of course, making sure that we are able to make full use, no, of supporting services, no, for ecosystem resilience, no. So what you will see here is the key pathways, no, as an example, for instance, protect, conserve, enhance food, water, raw material, and medicinal resources from nature. We make sure that we are able to enhance climate and air quality. We make sure that we enhance habitats for genetic biodiversity and for the survival of species. And we make sure that we are able to retain, the cultural services provided by nature. Because as risk refracts, no? Because as our risks change, the context, no, of ecosystem resilience interventions will be, or context-specific ecosystems resilience interventions will be needed, and that is where your innovative capacities will come in. No, so there's no one size fits all when it comes to resilience. Sure, we can learn together, but we have to make sure that our actions are specific or are calibrated according to our risks. And I end my presentation there, and thank you very much for the opportunity to learn with you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Jex, for that. Am I audible? Hopefully I am. Okay, we are facing some
Yes,
issues
sir.
with internet connection. Okay, thank you very much for that very comprehensive and at the same time full of reflections, no, that we can gather for the rest of our time here for this module. So again, the concept of resilience, no, as mentioned, is continuously evolving with a growing focus of understanding and developing capacities that enable it. When it comes to institutionalizing resilience, there are different approaches. No, as mentioned, it can be donor agency led, it can be national agency led, it can also be locally based on experience led. But one critical point is how it translates to the national development plans or the framework of the local governments. So a crucial aspect of institutionalizing resilience is its mainstreaming with the national planning activities. This involves embedding resilience into the operations of various agencies, existing plans, and overarching framework. It also necessitates the vertical and the horizontal alignment for us to ensure that the implementation of these resilience building efforts are actually translated all throughout the sector. Now, projects, maybe as our mayors are still thinking of maybe what they can ask in terms of the presentation, maybe one question that lingers to me is, with this long-standing efforts to really institutionalize resilience, what were the challenges that you face, for example, in doing this, especially on the varying level of institutionalizing it, be it at the local level and then going to the national level. So maybe just a sharing of your experience in terms of making maybe perhaps our government understand that this concept is actually evolving through time and how they can better integrate this into our national policies, just based on your experience, for example.
Okay, we've been doing this work since 2007, but I think the advantage of that is that we really started from the community level, from the village level, and all the way up, and moved all the way up to government. So when we advocated for resilience in our national laws, they were really evidence-based. So because we work on resilience building in different layers of governance for 3 years before we advocated that this be mainstream, in our planning and budgeting processes in the country. The major struggle that we have ever since, is the clear understanding of what resilience is, meaning translating this. There are many theories, there are many concepts of resilience, but what are the operational definitions, that will really allow us to put resilience action on the ground? That's the first thing. So the technical capacity to understand what resilience is, the technical capacity as well on making sure that we know how to apply principles of resilience. Let's say principles of bouncing forward, principles of preventive, anticipative, absorptive, adaptive, and transformative capacities into different dimensions of development, whether it be human development, economic development, environment, infrastructure, in institutional development. So it's really being able to understand these basic concepts and put them into action, but also make sure that these are science informed and evidence driven so that they become relevant, significant, responsive, and transformative for the communities we serve.
Thank you very much, Prof. Jack. So very important is that experience-based, and at the same time evidence-based that will inform our national policies. I think our dear mayors are having more or less the same experience on that, because seemingly, for other countries, it is just like coming from the international and then going to them, but they don't necessarily have the same concept or experience on the ground, because it's conceptualized based on their context as well. So another very important point that was mentioned in the lecture is about the multi-hazard effect of the different hazards that we have. And that, I think, is the more pressing theme now when it comes to resilience. So how are we starting to prepare for this particular theme of resilience building, given that multi-hazard is not an in thing, but it's an experience that we are actually having, especially in the Philippines and maybe other countries or cities wherein which our mayors are dealing as well.
Mhm.
So maybe your thoughts on that,
Okay.
projects.
So the first thing is that in the context of climate and disaster resilience, we need to know the multiple hazards that we are facing currently. The current hazards that we are facing currently are within the domain of disaster risk reduction. So these are hazards that we can address on the short term. As I said, they come in different modalities. My suggestion for this team is look at the new study of the United Nations on hazard profiles. Many of us only know about 5 to 7 hazards, but the UN hazard profiles actually names 318. No, so 318. But we're not very conscious of that, no? And many of those in the 318 are already happening in the here and now. The only difference between moving into the work on multi-hazard in disaster risk reduction and that of climate change or climate resilience is the time frame. You know, when you're talking about climate resilience, you're talking about the hazards, the multiple hazards that you will be dealing with in the future. Whereas in disaster risk reduction, you are dealing with the hazards that you are confronting in the here and now. Okay, so my first suggestion there is to study really what are the different hazards that you face, no? And as I said, go to the UN hazard profile and examine the 318 or so hazards, whether they're present or absent in your own locality. Okay.
Yes, thank you, projects. Those pieces of
And
advice.
by the way,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry. And once you've identified them, examine when they're happening. Sometimes they may happen one at a time, but I think most of the time they will come together. For example, typhoons and oil spills, they now go together. No? Let's say in the case of the example in America, you have extreme heavy rainfall and you have debris flow. No? So those are two different hazards, technically, no, coming together. Sorry for that.
Go ahead. No worries. Thank you very much. Those pieces of advice are really very critical, especially for our dear mayors, who's actually experiencing this particular hazards, no, not one at a time, but really in combination of. So we don't want this to happen, but this is the reality. And maybe a good information that Prof. Jex gave us is that we can study it, no, we can reflect from it, and we can be better, no, at managing this multi-hazard phenomena that's actually happening already. So again, thank you very much, Prof. Jex. Maybe we can invite our participants. Maybe you have additional questions or reflections that you want to share, no, alongside our topic on institutionalizing resilience. It's a continuous process, no? I believe so, when we want to really institutionalize things to happen. And it's also part of a complex aspect of putting governance at the center, the humans, the communities, especially in the decision-making process, no? But coupled with technicalities, no, and the concept of risks, no, that is already integrated in our process. So maybe do we have some mayors who wants to share or reflect on their respective cities, perhaps, if you have some local ordinances to really put this into place, or mere following at the national level, if there are consideration on institutionalizing the resilience.
Or Dr. Edgar, I may have
Sure.
said something that may have changed already, and which they may want to correct in terms of their policies. They can actually do so. We will also learn from it. Thank you.
Yes, Prof. Jex is very generous on putting into context all other countries within the Asia Pacific. And if there are some updates, no, maybe you can provide that as well. Thank you very much, Prof. Jex. Maybe in Malaysia, Indonesia, we have participants also from Nepal. So the Philippines, of course, is there. So if you have, and Cambodia, if there are some updates on this, maybe you can also share. So that's something that other countries or other cities might be able to learn something from. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Edgar. Thanks, Jessica, for the sharing session. It's very good for us to hear about the resilience. And what I can share from my city, Hulu Selangor, is one of the district in Selangor State in Malaysia. I think as a transformed city from previously it's a small town, not really many development, but now we are changing. There are more development keep coming in. And now we are start facing the problem with the climate change. For example, recently we have a very extreme rain. Within 3 hours, we receive about 160 milliliters, rain. And suddenly the flash flood happened. And it caused trouble to us because it involved about more than 20 houses in our residential areas. So this cost and awareness among the government agencies. We need to collaborate between a few government agencies so that we can improve the situation that we face, especially regarding the irrigation system, the whole infrastructure, especially the drainage. So I'm attracted when you mentioned there are about 318 hazards that we have. We collect that data, and yes, I agree with you. Sometimes the heavy rain can cause many trouble. The recent one is the flash flood, but last time we have landslide, and this is so many things that as a local council we need to address so that it won't cause any problem, it won't cause any economic loss to the people. So thanks for the sharing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the inputs. Yeah.
Thank you very much. How about the others from Indonesia, perhaps? Are there any reflections on what was presented, or maybe
Okay,
Dubey?
I would like a very short reflection that Ms. Jessica already explained to us. That is true that, like our case, Mr. Edgar, planning is easy, but the challenging is implementation. So one of the key that we can have some budget is from national and provincial level. There also, when we have a very good plan of mitigation or something about the city mitigation plan, and we need that budget, so we have to be like in line with the national program and provincial program, so they can help our city to build something, especially infrastructure that need a very huge budget. So that's what happened in Banda Aceh City. We have some project from national level to deal with the mitigation in mitigation infrastructure in Banda Aceh City. But like I said before, that one of important thing that also beside the tsunami early warning system and also the escape route, escape building, escape route, or something that the people can, when they have the information that the hazard will come, so where they have to go. That also very important to reduce the casualty or the victim of the disaster. That's in our opinion. Thank you very much.
That's really nice, reaffirming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Again, are there still others who wants to share something?
Hello, sir. May I share as well?
Go ahead, Mayor Coro.
Again, apologies. My camera is not working properly. First, thank you to Prof. Jessica for very wonderful presentation. It helps validate the actions we've been doing for a couple of years already, that maybe we're doing something right. Just a couple of things that based on our experiences in the last 15 years in doing in this job. One is resiliency takes time. We always tell this to everyone to be patient, because the results of your actions today may be realized, of a major catastrophic event that will happen 10 years or 15 years later. In our case, the Category 5 typhoon happened in 2021, but we prepared for it starting 2011. So it's a 10-year journey to make sure that we will survive any potential catastrophic storm. The second is really probably defining what mainstreaming of resiliency is, because a lot of people are still focused on the disaster response part without consideration of other public services that are being um, uh, not operational because of it's not designed to be resilient. Health services, education, again, sharing our experience in terms of education. Our Department of Education wanted to formalize immediately the school without consideration that the teachers and the families are not ready to go back to the schools because they have lost homes and still trying to figure out if what to do with their life next after livelihoods might not be recovered. And the third would be in terms of role of media. In the Philippine context, media is always trying to romanticize resiliency instead of trying to focus on governance. So every time they say your Filipinos are resilient, even if there's a storm, we smile. It downgrades the value of preparation, that downgrades the value of actual governance because simply you want to move forward and you want to move on. So it results to less accountability and transparency in how we make resiliency really part of our mainstream governance. So again, thank you, Prof. Jessica, for the wonderful sharing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Toro. Really talking about how local resilience building is happening, in the area and some of the challenges when it comes to the readiness, especially that resilience is an all of society thing. So we need to ensure that all the elements therein are really ready towards this particular effort. So again, if there are no other volunteers who wants to share or reflect?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead, Mayor.
I'm Badurai from Nepal. So I'm extremely sorry I couldn't attend all the classes today because the very poor the internet connection here, and even I couldn't understand what the discussion happened. So anyway, regarding the Jessica, Madam Jessica, for the resilient cities, a resilient municipality, first, what we did in our municipality, we have the organizations for the resilient, for the office organization. Second, whether we will have enough financial or not. So we should have the financial capacity also. Third, the designs, what types of the design we need for the resilient cities, resilient municipality, and resilient building structure infrastructures. So we are working on it, and also it is very important this institutional capacity buildings, and also not only for the institutional, for the office, it is very important to make our social capacity buildings. If the first, they should understand what is the effect and the impact of the climate change, disasters, and how can make the mitigate or reduce the disaster or risks. Also, we are working on the mapping also. We have the risk mapping in our municipality. We use the Kobo tools to identify where is the risks and what types of the risks and what cost will come to build back better. So we are working on it. And there is a lot of the problems, impact of the climate change we will discuss later, because actually I didn't even take all the classes today. The anytime, the shutdown of the internet. So for today, this much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Your sharing is actually um, pointing towards our next activities. No, but these challenges that you've mentioned in terms of financing, in terms of the appropriate design, no, can be talked about, no, in our succeeding activities. So again, no, thank you very much, Prof. Jessica. If you
Uh,
have some final statements, if you want to share
yeah,
something, go ahead.
just to briefly respond, to the
Mhm.
fortune. First, for Malaysia, I think the challenge in cities right now is the paradigm and your framework for urbanization. What kind of development do you want in the city? While you have time to address and prevent the risk, please prevent them. So that it will not cause you more problems in the future. That's one. For Indonesia in Banda Aceh. I've actually been to your place. I had the opportunity to visit. It's a lovely place. But see, the thing is that if we are too dependent with the national government for financing, it will take time. It will take time before they are able to respond to our local needs. No, so I think what's similar between the Philippines and Nepal is that we had to make sure that the resources are at the hands of the local government units. No, so in the Philippines we have the local disaster risk reduction and management fund, but it had to be embedded in our law to make sure that the funds go directly to the local governments for their use, for resilience action. And I think it's the same thing with the Nepal as well. But in the case of Mayor Cora, I witnessed him, becoming a mayor from the start, since he sat down as mayor, and through the years, yes, they did a lot of investments. But unfortunately, what the scientists are telling us is we do not have the luxury of time. Okay, so we cannot say that resilience takes, like 10 years or 15 years to achieve. Working in the local communities, we when we were talking about climate risk assessments, and we were asked how long does it take, and then we asked the scientists how long does it take to have those assessments, and they would say about 3 to 5 years. The community responded, "Oh, we will be dead by then." No, because the hazards that come to us, they come each season, so they do not have the luxury of time, and therefore we have to calibrate our resilience actions according to the needs of the communities, and so that they will be able to respond to them. And yes, we congratulate Nepal, for ensuring that the resilience actions are really mainstream in the development plans. But I think the challenge for us right now is to implement transformative actions, wherever we are in this world. By that, we are saying we address inequities and inequalities that lead to our specific vulnerabilities and render many of our communities at risk. And so I think that's the big challenge for the generation of local government leaders right now. And I honor you, for being so brave, for taking that responsibility in your countries and for your people. Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity of service.
Again, thank you very much, Prof. Jex, for that very, very wonderful discussion, no? A co-learning process for everyone. So again, no, disasters or the hazards that's coming is always a surprise. It is us, no, who can actually be ready, no, for it. No? So um I think we're good, and then maybe we can proceed with our next activity so that we'll be able to process our discussion further. Thank you very much again, Prof.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prof.
Ed, for moderating the very interesting discussion, and thank you, Ms. Jessica, for interesting thoughts and ideas. So we are now moving on to our next agenda item, which is a moderated discussion. And as you will remember, in module 3B, I had shared some questions with you, and I had requested that you bring some examples from your city, and we use that as a basis of discussion. And the discussion that we were just having now, I think, is a good starting point for this conversation, because you're already starting to give some specific ideas which have worked or which have not worked in your city. So it's a nice way of connecting to it. So what I would suggest is we go through each of the honorable mayors who are present here, and ask you these following questions. I presume you can see my screen. So generally, can you identify impacts of climate change in your city? So what we are looking for are some specific examples of what climate change impacts have there been. So 2, 3 examples are fine. Even 1 example is fine. And then how did your city respond to this situation? So when you had these impacts, what were the specific responses that you came up with? And were these responses at the community level really resilient? So were they adding to resilience in a measurable way? And the last one, I think, is a very interesting question. Knowing everything you know today, would you do something different? So maybe the outcome would be different compared to what you saw from these particular case studies, if I can call them that. So those are the 4 questions we'll go around and ask each mayor to address. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, so would anyone like to start the conversation? Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
maybe, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. The climate change, the impacts, especially in my municipality, it's the landslides and the disease, different types of the disease, and droughts, these fires and lightnings, then windstorms, and frost. Also, there is the insect. Even it is in the hilly area in my municipality. The around it comes from 800 to 1600 meters height. Nowadays, even you can get the mosquitoes in our municipality. I think this is also impact of the climate change. And the another problem is in the farming. This is a corn armyworm. This types of the another is the white flight. Different types of the insect. These are the major impact of the climate change. Also prolonged. This is it is called drought. And in the agriculture, reducing the incomes for the farmers, and tourism even is effective in the tourisms. Some of them are what I told. And what is the city response to the situations? And we in our jurisdictions, local government can make the laws, policies, and it has its own budget also. So we have make our plan Also, we have make the LAPA, means local adoptions action for the plans. LAPA we have, and also we have the some planning for the disasters and climate change risk reductions and resilient planning we have. We are working on it, but it takes time. We recently met the laws. Also, we have the plans. Also, we have the policy. And third, the community response. First, they should understand about the climate change and its impact. So there is different ways to make them understand. We are trying to make them understand also. So it takes times. So fourth, what would you do the different today's? The difference today is I saw the presentation of the Jessica. So she told, and in her the presentations, Nepal did the some extra the laws, made laws and policies. Also, these are the some the difference what I saw today and what I heard. So because the Nepal and Nepal, there is a federal government in Nepal, the central government and federal government, no, state government and local government. We have the very coordination between we have the coordinations, cooperation and coexistence. These are the policies. Also, we are working according to our responsibilities. These are the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's very informative. So if I understood correctly, your responses were lawmaking at the local government level, budget allocation, and climate resilient planning. So thank you for sharing that. Who would like to go next?
Okay,
yes, please go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, yeah, I would like to have explain a little bit about our experience in Banda Aceh City relating with the climate change. First, about the impact of climate change in our city, we have a frame like three, let's say, routine disaster that already happen every, let's say, almost every day or also, yeah, every month. That first of all, it's about the extreme weather. We have extreme weather here in Banda Aceh City, increased air temperature during the day reaching 38 Celsius. And also the second one is about the flooding during high rainfall. So that's also one of the city challenge that the mayor make in this mayor academy, talking about how we resolve the problem about the city inundation or flooding by the heavy rainfall. And the last one about the strong wind or storm. Because we are in the coastal area, we have, when the heavy rainfall, we have also the strong wind or storm also in the Banda Aceh City. And also, how did the city respond about the situation? So, well, we make some effort that we have been made related to the impact is, first of all, is we make like urban planning with resilience in mind. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that Banda Aceh update its spatial planning to include the disaster-prone zone because we are disaster city, prone city, and also talking about a green open space requirement, and also a buffer zone along river and coastal area. So that's the first one. The second one is green infrastructure and coastal protection that we make here in Banda Aceh. The city promote mangrove planting. We are together with the NGO and also the public participation or community participation, the citizen, and also green open space requirement, a buffer zone. The coastal area, like we have like a red zone in when the tsunami happened in the coastal area. So we put them with the city mangrove planting in this area, and also improving urban drainage and flood mapping, and pruning large tree, preventing tree from falling, because we have heavy rainfall, and also the wind is very how to say that very not good for the people in the street, and also increasing the community preparedness. And the last one, preparing the climate change adaptation in and mitigation document. That's what we do. And also, what's the community response is really resilient. Honestly, we can say that because we already happened with the tsunami 20 years ago. The challenge is for the city is our young generation. Why I say that? It's already had 20 years before. So the citizen at that time is already aged, but right now we have a young generation who that we need there to understand how is the disaster. So that's very challenging with us, because we have to like re-teach the people, the community, that about the awareness. And let's say we have the advantage because we have the tsunami museum. So we have the, like I said, we have the evidence that the tsunami or the disaster is very huge. So the young generation have to be prepared for the next disaster. And the last one, what would we do differently today? So we make some how to say that effort to deal with climate change. Is first one, reducing urban energy consumption through the green infrastructure, like building infrastructure support energy saving, such as green building, pedestrian paths, and cycling paths. The second one, encouraging natural resource conservation effort, for instance, like expansion of green open space, conservation and preservation of biodiversity. The third one is encouraging the use of public and mass transportation and electrical vehicle for daily activity. The fourth one is encouraging a sustainability lifestyle to reduce consumption-based emission. The two last one is use of renewable energy through the use of solar panel in government buildings. We have a plan, some of government building with the solar panel. And the last one is integrating carbon emission reduction target in planning document. So we put the target of the how to reduce the carbon emission in the city of Banda Aceh. Maybe that's all from our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very comprehensive description of the impacts, the responses, how the community has understood. And I'd really like your point about the youth probably doesn't have an immediate knowledge of the tsunami from almost 20 years ago, and maybe their perception is a little bit different. So to address that, I think is important. Thank you very much. Who would like to go next? Mayor Koro, Mayor Binti Jamaluddin.
Is Mayor Koro?
Yes.
Can I go next?
Yes, Honorable Mayor Koro, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make mine very quick.
Yes,
So
please.
for Del Carmen, the risk that we have identified, climate change in our community is basically the sea level rise. Because I have 4 island communities, and being on the east side of the Philippines, we get a lot of typhoons around 4 months every year. But the greatest impact, aside from that intensified storms, is really the sea level rise that's affecting a few of our island communities, particularly an island named Halian and another island community of Kaub. So these 2 islands, based on the data that we have gathered, will be inhabitable in the next 20 to 25 years, which means I have to move at least from those two communities around more or less 2,000 people. But overall, from the other coastal villages within Del Carmen will be at least 1,000 families that we have to move. So that's right now our response is to educate our people. For the last 5 years, we have already started educating them of the risk that we will all be facing if we do inaction today. Because again, the impacts will be felt later. So we have started to reach out to different national government agencies to design a housing solution that's meant for the poor. There's a lot of housing solutions that are designed for lower to middle class families, but there's none that we have yet seen that was designed for the poor in rural areas. So far, as of um, today, we received good feedback from our national agencies to finally recognize our appeal and our proposal in terms of how to design resilient communities that are meant for farmers and fishers, which means none of those high-rise communities, because they have their own traditions and norms that are still that we feel would still need to be honored and supported. So in terms of the community, they have started to accept the realities because of the super typhoon that we experienced a few years ago. That the current reality now is that storms will be very intense. At the same time, they also saw that their island reduced by almost, I think, 20% of their land cover because of the sea level rise. That's just in the last 15 years. So that quick realization, I think, allowed us to better communicate and be more transparent in the options of what we need to do together, not just the local government, but the community, and also the other government and non-government agencies that would like to pilot a model of how do we really establish a housing community that's centered on human dignity. And that was the response of our community by recognizing um, the current limitations of what we can do and accepting certain realities that we have to act upon. And what would have do different today from what I have learned, including on the games, maybe to use the games to actually make them more understand of the risks that they are facing. I think if somehow that game can be, I don't know how to put a large TV that they can play to make them more appreciative of the risk that they are facing, and hopefully they would really consider the options that we are presenting, or if using those the scenarios that we are discussing, that the plans we are building can be tested through those simulations, so that they would be more accepting of again the realities that we are all facing. So thank you very much again for the opportunity, and it's a really great learning experience for the past few weeks for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kaur. I like your idea, and actually, I had a very similar thought when I was watching the two groups working with the simulation. That wouldn't it be great if you could take the simulation to your city and, just like you were saying, put it on a big screen, let the public play these games at different times and in different settings. Maybe you can take it to school. So that can actually be a very powerful learning exercise to actually see the complexity of decision making and also the consequences of decision making. So if you don't make the right choices, the damage in human life and property damage can be quite huge. So thank you for making that point home. All right. So the Honorable Mayor Binti Jamaluddin.
Thank you, Dr. Adil. Yeah, I also want to take part in this discussion to share with you about the answer for these 4 questions that posted to us. Firstly, I would like to share with you the history of our city, Kuala Kubu Baru. Actually, once upon a time, about 1883, last time, this town actually it was established after the tragic collapse of Kuala Kubu Baru Dam. That time we have a big dam to supply water for the people living in Kuala Kubu Baru that time, but suddenly the dam collapsed. So that one caused massive flooding and also loss of life. Many people lost during that time, during that incident. So that it becomes a reminder of the destructive potential of uncontrolled water system. Since that, we learn from what happened last time. So start from that, we have our first planned city in Kuala Selangor, which is in our city center, Kuala Kubu Baru. That's become the first planned city in Malaysia actually. So nowadays, the climate change that we are facing in Hulu Selangor again is a flash floods. So we are having this rainfall because now of the phenomena is a global issue, and it causes us a flash floods, and we also have a landslide risk, and we experienced one of the historical landslide last 2022, which claims many lives in Hulu Selangor. So for these 2 climate change that happen in Hulu Selangor, our city, we also respond to this. For the flash floods, what we do, we keep upgrading our drainage system, especially in the high risk area, in the old town, in the area residential that now we can see after 30 years, the drainage system need to upgrade. And for the response team, we establish our special squad. We call it PANTAS, or Quick Response Team. This is our municipal rapid response team, especially for the flood emergencies. And for the infrastructure, especially the riverbanks area, we keep upgrade our riverbank, we reinforce. But the challenge now is financing the project. It involves a lot of money. We need support from the federal department especially, and also from the state level, because if we need to fork out our own money from the municipal financial budget, it will drain us a lot of money. And for the landslides, we planning for our slope stabilization measures and also working with other technical agencies. This is what ESCAP also highlight before. We need the collaboration among many agencies for us to prevent the climate change and also incident happen in our area. And during the planning approval, especially from the developer, we also enforce stricter hillside development controls, especially the area that involves slope clustering more than 25 degree area, and also in the class 4 slope areas. And at the state level, the state government also established Selangor State Climate Change Policy. And this policy, all the local authority in Selangor, we need to abide, we need to follow the policy, especially to prevent the issues like landslide and also climate change issue involving our area. And for the community, what I can share with you, the Adil and also the honorable mayors, our community, they are actually partially involved in this the resilient matters. For example, we have NGOs, we also have volunteers and youth group to support during the emergency, during the climate change issue when it occurs. Like last time when we have these flash floods, we have a few good people come and help us to clean up the area, so that the people that involved in that accident, they can get their life as usual. And what would we do differently today as a local authority, as a municipal council? First and foremost, we now implement more strict planning control, especially regarding the new coming development. We enforce that for any development near the hilly area or slope area, we no longer accept surrendered land from the developer, especially on the high risk slopes. Because last time, when the developer come with maybe about 100 acres development area, they will tend to surrender the buffer area, the football area, or any institution land in the on the slope area. But now we put a policy, we enforce on them. We do not want to accept this kind of land anymore. So this kind of land, like class 3 or class 4 slope, must be maintained and take care and managed by the developer. So all the lands that for the institutional development, for example, for school, for mosque, this one must be on the land that can be developed at any time, not on hilly or slopey area anymore. So for this, what we want to do also, we try to expand what we call as nature-based solutions development. We involve development for green space and also slope reforestation to absorb rainfall and also reduce surface runoff. This is the nature-based. Then it will involve more less of money rather than we develop infrastructure to prevent any issue regarding the climate change. With that, thank you, Dr. Adil. That is a sharing from Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, again, very useful insights, and the responses I think are quite diverse from strict policy action as well as creating this rapid response team. I think that is actually very interesting. And I think you'll find the other cities also have similar funding or financial challenges, and so they require some support from. You mentioned both state and national government, and I would add maybe international development agencies can also come in and provide some additional support to connect with any funding that comes in from the national government or from the state or provincial level government. So thank you very much. We're running close on our time, but we haven't heard from the representative from the Malay city. Do you have something to contribute to this discussion? Okay, well, maybe not. Okay, so in the interest of time, I will move on because we're getting close to our closing time. So I'll take a few minutes to talk about the module 4B that we will undergo on 22nd of July. And just to give you a bit of orientation of what we will be doing. We were focusing more today on the institutional resilience, and we will focus a lot more on building environmental resilience on 22nd of July. So the focus is on how urban infrastructure resilience can be built. And particularly, we will use nature-based solutions as an example of how climate adaptation can take place, and how local actions in response to climate impacts can actually be built and scaled up to a larger scale. In terms of how the flow will go, in Module 4B, Dr. Edgar Reyes will take the lead and gather the team and follow the discussion. We will have a very interesting presentation from Pakistan, Mr. Masood Lohar, who's been leading a Clifton urban forest in the city of Karachi in Pakistan for the last 5 years. So he will talk about how this resilience action has evolved and how he's been able to engage a number of different players around the city. And the most important and interesting bit is that he has done all of that while he's not really holding any official post. He's not associated with the city, and yet he has built a very significant urban forest in the coastal area of Karachi. I will also give a presentation on this notion of low carbon responses and how they built to enhance resilience in an urban settings. Then we will have a break, and when we come back, we will talk about specific examples of nature-based solutions. And we will then ask each of the mayors to make presentations. What we would offer is that based on the presentations that you just made, you can enhance them and make them more structured. And particularly, I think I would like to emphasize more this notion of taking a step back and thinking about how you would do things differently as you move forward, and what you've learned up to now. How is that difference in thinking? How is that reflected on in ways in which you can move forward? And then we will wrap up the session with an introduction to Module 5, which is the final module for which will be the next module for this Mayor's Academy. So with those few words, I'll pass on to Dr. Ed Reyes to close up the session today.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Adil. Again, we thank everyone for joining us. I hope this has been a learning experience to everyone, especially in terms of the introduction to urban resilience, the concepts, specifically looking into the institutionalization of resilience, while looking into the varying concepts related to resilience, and by doing some interactive games, no, so that we can learn on practices, several strategies on building resilience, we at the same time are able to share a lot of thoughts when it comes to building resilience and the strategies towards this. So hopefully this learnings that we have for today will translate for next iteration of the module in terms of your specific assignments. No? So we will be having those by July 22nd, and we are hoping to see again each and every one of you, and we hope that you'll be having restful, less challenging, no, perhaps week ahead of you. So again, thank you very much, and have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you all.